Welcome to the middle of the African bush for your second daily live safari here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. And oh, excuse me, I'm recovering from a bit of flu, but this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Brent Leo Smith, and on camera with me today I have Dangerous Dave, the objectified dish. Now, there sounds like there's lots of elephants around at the different pans. Steph is on his way to see if he can find them, and of course Steph and VM out in the other vehicle. And we are cruising around quarantine clearings at the moment, and I was hoping for a zebra or an impala or something to start the show, but as you can see, there's nothing. And we're going to start heading a bit further towards the south. It's a possibility. It's been pretty cool today, even though it's warmed up to about 27 degrees Celsius, 81 Fahrenheit, that the leopards might have been on the move during the day. And of course, remember, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV if you want to ask us any questions about what's hip and what's happening here in the African bush. Now, I had a long distance visual of an elephant earlier, and Steph is working on that side of the reserve, so I asked him if he wouldn't mind popping there since he was around that area, and to see if we can spot them from a great distance. And oh, they've gone, Dave. So they were out on that open clearing in the distance there. But while you are looking at an open clearing that is devoid of any elephantine life, it looks like Steph must have got round and caught up with them.
Good afternoon, and we do indeed have an elephant, and that elephant that's got that stubby trunk. And she's busy moving a branch out of the way. That's what she was doing, using that club-like trunk of hers without the two fingers at the end to push branches into her mouth. Isn't that amazing? You know, hats off to these animals that learn how to do this without the appendage. Makes me feel like every time I feel sorry for myself, I have to chastise myself and think it could be worse. And yet, if they just get it done, she's in good condition. You can see she's a bit skinny, but all the elephant at this time of the year are a bit skinny. Oh, and I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Steph. And hello to everybody out there. And on camera today is VM. There we go, all fussed. And this Ellie that we're looking at the moment is busy eating sickle bush. Now, sickle bush is not usually on the menu of elephant, I must be honest. But for some reason, I've been watching elephant absolutely hammer the sickle bush lately. Look how she's standing completely relaxed. You can see how the way she's folded her leg or had her leg folded there. Now she's actually got I think this is the one with the young calf. I don't know where the calf is. There are a few other elephants around us at the moment. You might find that the calf is with an auntie or a cousin somewhere. I just love the contentment with which they chew their food. You can almost see their eyes are half closed. They chew very slowly and very deliberately. You can see she's got quite fine, well, there she's going to her trunk again. You'll see that trunk. She's holding that branch. Here comes her baby. Charging us. Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to get so close to Mom. Don't worry. There we go, boy. Okay, all right, you're a big boy. We scared. You got me quaking. Sorry, bud. I didn't mean to hurt you. We didn't do anything to your mom, I promise. A young female, back with mom. Oh, these youngsters. That precocial behavior you're watching there, mom's got her trunk tied up in the bushes, and now baby must put his trunk, or excuse me, her trunk tied up in the bushes as well. You can see that there's a fair amount of use out of that trunk already, so I'd say that this youngster was 6 months plus, definitely not older than a year because you can't see any tusks. But you can see how she's able to use her little trunk with dexterity already, and that is just a sign that they're between 6 months and a year old. A red dog, you've just asked me if elephants get any skin problems like mange. You know, I don't think so, to be quite honest with you. I've never seen an elephant with any type of mange. They must do. But I would imagine that they're fairly robust animals. The skin is incredibly thick. Let's just see what this female is going to do. I'll answer you in a moment. I just need to make myself ready in case things get out of hand. I don't have a forward escape route here, and that's with elephant is always a bit of a problem. The one thing that you cannot afford to do here in the bush is take elephant for granted. No matter how good you think you are at looking at elephant behavior, things change in an instant with them. So what she's doing is she's busy digging for roots with her foot. Now she's busy scraping that sand away with her foot. Baby standing on her shaded side. Instinctively, she already knows that that's the cooler side of mom. Let's see what she's looking for some roots. Okay, let's just see what she does. Hello, mom. Everything's okay. There we go. All good. Very calm. She's like 3 yards away from the vehicle at the moment, with her calf between us and the vehicle, so that was a little bit tense, but everything is calm. You can see she didn't stop, give a head shake. She wasn't uncertain about where she wanted to go. Everything was 100% safe. But like I said, you can never ever take these animals for granted. You have to always prepare yourself for something like a change of mood. With elephants, it happens, like I said, in an instant. And it could be for something as small as the fact that her baby was between her and me. Now what I would have done at that stage is probably just started the car. It would have definitely given her a bit of a fright, but it also would have just set that boundary again. We don't like to interact with the animals here, to be honest with you. It's inevitable that there is some interaction that does happen, but we don't enjoy interacting. So let's just go here. Here's the baby coming again. Mommy wants to cross the road, so we're going to let her do that in peace. Hello, boy. Oh, girl, sorry. See, very playful. Mom and baby won't be far apart from one another for the rest of their lives. That young female calf, she will stay in this herd until her mom dies. And hopefully one day will lead the herd herself. Their titles are not hereditary. Unlike hyena, who have hereditary titles, the matriarch's daughter becomes the hyena queen, or hyena queen. With elephant, it is the oldest, fittest, wisest. So those three pillars, oldest, fittest, wisest, that become the matriarch. And there they go off into the drainage line. John, you wanted to know what kind of animal will mess with an elephant. Other elephant, definitely, man and lion. So there are some reports of hyena killing young elephant. I've witnessed a couple of reports like that. It's not just one or a folklore. And then we've got some nyala crossing the road, going to where the elephant are. But by far, I think the biggest danger, and it's really location specific, is lion in some parts. Lion will learn how to hunt the most dominant food source or the most prevalent food source in the area, not the most dominant, the most prevalent food source in the area. In this particular area, lion hunt a lot of kudu, they hunt a lot of impala, they hunt some zebra, but they also hunt a lot of buffalo. They quite enjoy buffalo. In areas like the Chobe National Park that have a lot of elephant, and where the vegetation really becomes super sparse toward the end of the dry season, lion prides there have learned how to hunt elephant. Can you believe it? Full-grown elephant. The lions there take down a couple of elephant. Brent has seen it, I think, once or twice, as he lived in that area for quite some time. And there's been one or two documentaries that have been made with these lions that hunt these elephants. It's just, I don't know if I'd like to see it. Apparently the elephants take quite a long time to die, but it's a spectacular, hunt. It's the whole pride, these massive prides. Oh, got this fly. Massive prides of lions that are jumping on top of these elephants. But yeah, anyway, I hope that answered your question, John. And on that note, I think Brent has finally entered the Mawati and would like to give you an update.
So we are hoping that Queen Karula made her way up the Mawati River during the day. And I love the Mawati. It means I can take a bit of time off, lie on the bonnet, let the car do the work, look nicely for tracks. Of course, we're also always in search of the white-throated robin that is quite elusive. It's a good spot to look for it, especially in the heat of the day like now. Now, this is the spot where Karula had the kill a few days ago. It was a baby duiker. She was all around here, and it was so small she didn't even pop a tree. But if she had needed to, there were lots of nice trees that she could have put it in to keep it away from hyenas. Now, what we're going to attempt to do, which is something that is more, we're going to attempt to do a whole Mawati drive from the bonnet of a Land Rover. This might require some deft maneuvers at some point from me. But it is a really great place. Oh, hello. No, just in Nyala tracks. No worries. Now, I have done this before and nearly gone off path. But fortunately, I was quick enough to save myself. And what we can do is, if there are any questions, we can get Dave involved and he can send through the questions for me. Now, this is a spot where it gets a bit difficult. So the ground's a bit harder. So sometimes the car decides to take its own path. And we're going to need to. Yes, we are. See, there we go. There we go, back in the driving spot. Now, I really love these little riverbeds like this. They are my favorite places in the South African lowveld. And you've always got a chance at one of the predators. There are awesome trees around, amazing birds. And I don't know, just get a great sense of well-being while cruising down a riverbed. Now, this is a particularly small one. There are some massive ones, and actually one of my favorite ones in the whole world is in front of my parents' house. And there it is probably about 4 times the size. Whoopsie, let's go. There we go. It's about 4 times the size of the Mawati. And it's a great spot for the wild dogs to hunt. Oh, don't stall. We're going to do this. Dave, we're going to go through the arch shortly. So there's another hard spot where I'm going to have to stick. We should be okay. Now, I'm really hoping Queen Karula's come up the riverbed today. If not, I think I'm going to check a little bit further to the east around, come on, turn, don't stall. There we go. Around Leadwood Road, and then if nothing there, towards Cheetah Plains. There we go, lovely jackalberry, one of the more iconic trees you find. Now there is a jackalberry at the end of the Mawati here at Twin Dams that's fruiting, and almost every single time we go past there, there's either a nyala or duiker taking advantage of any of the fruits that have been disturbed by the birds that are feeding on it. Here we go. Now of course the vehicle's in four-wheel drive, low range, that's why it's going so slowly. I mean, to give you an idea of the actual speed we're traveling, let's see. Wonder if I should abandon my cameraman for a while. What do you think, Dave? Please don't. Oh look, we're going off the road, Dave. Oh, there's a big hole, Dave. Oh no, we're not going to stall. There we go. But of course it is a much better spot to look for tracks from up here. But we're getting into white-throated robin country, so I'm thinking, are we going to go for the record all the way? Okay, let me get my ears if we're going to go for the record. Maybe we can get some questions while I'm going to lay across the bonnet. Okay. There we go. Is that going to work? Oopsie. Now the earpiece, oh, we're going to fail, we're going to stall. Oh, no. Yes, we are. It was a good attempt. We'll have to do it again sometime. Sorry, I got the beginning of Larry's comment before I turned the wheel the wrong way.
Larry said you should be standing on the bonnet like this.
Yeah, I should be surfing. Maybe a bit later, Larry. A splendid idea. Well, we made it 90% of the way. It's difficult to put into reverse from the bonnet though to get back on track. But there we go. Travels with Sarah says a whole new meaning to the word self-drive. Yes, indeed. Now, where I grew up, or spent most of my teenage years in northern Botswana, it's some of the thickest Kalahari sand in the world, and there's one of my, can you believe, favorite jobs as a teenager was delivering cars to the bush. Now most people would never want to do it. It's about 270 kilometers from the office in town to the lagoon camp, and it would take you, depending on the time of the year and the state of the roads, about 9 hours to 13 hours, depending on how thick the sand was, whether a Botswana Defence Force truck had driven before you, and how many flat tires you got. We used to carry 4 spares, and I have gone through all 4 spares and had to walk 30 k's to camp once before. But you get onto an area called the TFC cut line, which is a Tsetse fly cut line. It's basically this straight road that was cut through Botswana in the 40s, and along there were airstrips, and it was before we knew how bad DDT was. So DDT was sprayed to try and control the Tsetse flies. And you get onto the TFC cut line, it's basically shrub mapani, not the most pleasant bush in the world, but for as far as the eye can see. And you, out of your 9 hours, you probably spent 4 to 5 hours not touching the steering wheel and sitting at second gear low range at this speed. I read many a book. I studied for my first aid course while sitting in the sand like this, and open vehicles, covered in sun cream, big hats. But I saw some incredible things on those journeys. I saw 9 leopard in a day once, lots of roan, sable antelope, and of course, many elephants in Botswana. Now, it sounds like Steph has, hang on, a sneeze coming, no. It sounds like Steph's found a bird that's been showing some very interesting behavior, and that behavior is because of the drought. So let's go have a look.
I am indeed, thank you, Brent. I'm looking at an African Harrier hawk, or we're looking at an African Harrier hawk that's busy seemingly eating frogs that it's caught in the mud, or is busy fishing out of the mud here in Buffelshoek Dam. Just have a look at that. African Harrier hawk, one of the most remarkable features is its ability to change the color of its face depending on its mood, going from bright yellow to red. As you can see, it's almost got a pinkish tinge to it now. It can flush. There we go. Look at that red face. It's in the excitement, obviously just wanting to hunt, looking in all those cracks for any estivating frogs. Estivation is when a frog encases itself in a mucus to basically ward off the drying effect of the mud and stay able to breathe. They can breathe through their skin. But watch how carefully that this Harrier hawk is inspecting every nook and cranny. And then keep an eye on his face. You'll notice he'll probably, as he starts searching, his face will go from red, which is his initial excitement of the hunt, to yellow when he starts to feed, having now caught something. I have never personally seen this behavior before. African Harrier hawks are usually arboreal feeders, and they raid holes in nests and dig off slabs of bark to get to baby squirrels and to lizards. Look how yellow his face has gone now. It's sulfur yellow that is diagnostic of these particular birds. Another interesting feature that they have is almost like a universal leg joint. Now his leg is pointing backwards, but he can quite easily point it in the other direction and make his knee then fold. Look at that, digging with a claw. Let's see, maybe we're lucky and we see a kill. It's just, you see a new thing out here every day. There, look, he's caught something. He's going for it, digging his foot in, flapping his wings around, keeping his balance. Ooh, it looks like it got away from him. Inspecting that hole. No, now trying to use the beak. There we go. Digging in there again. Must be a frog. Either frogs or crabs. I'm not 100% sure. Kirsty's just telling me the other day that was hunting for frogs. So you've seen this a couple of times. Viam also said to me a couple of times you've seen it. See, that claw is coming out full of mud. So at least that deep, that foot length deep in the mud. Let's see how quickly the bird gives up. Obviously, knowing where food is a lot less energy consuming than having to find food again. But I suppose there'll be a tipping point there. It's actually caught something. It actually did pull out a frog, have you? It was just busy killing it. So it actually did get that frog. That's amazing. It's got it in its right claw, or at least a piece of it. Can't actually see what it is. Yes, that is a... Kirsty just let me know that Brent reckons they are the Platana frog, or the Cape clawed toad. And I actually agree with him. I think it's exactly what they are. Yeah, I can actually see that webbed foot in the brown color sticking out from the base. And they've got a characteristic flat. They're quite flat with eyes on top of their heads and quite a flat hip structure. Unlike toads and frogs, which normally have their legs underneath them, they sort of have got a sideways hip. I don't know how else. There's a splayed hip, I suppose, is the easiest way to say it. It's incredible. This pan's still supporting life even after all of that it's gone through. Mud is now probably 99% dry. At least in a crust. There will be mud underneath. I once walked across here a little bit earlier in the year when it was looking pretty similar, and I must say after a couple of moves on the actual mud, it became quite jelly. It became quite unstable to stand on. And he's just busy finishing it off and gulping it down. Shaking the frog slime off its face. Looking for some more. On a parting question, I just have to ask. I wonder if this bird is doing this instinctually or it learnt from its parents. That is my parting question to myself and to you all out there. You are going off to Brent for an update, and we're going to stick around here and see what else he can pull out of the mud.
So we've decided to head east towards Cheetah Plains, maybe catch up with the sticks. I haven't heard anything what's happening there. They might be all lazing around 3 in a row pan. I'm pretty sure they've probably finished that buffalo by now, but we're going to go have a look. There was also a report of Tundi, a female leopard. Oh, for those of you who don't know who the sticks are a pride of lions. So we've got 2 maiden prides of lions we see, the Nkuhumas and the sticks. Tundi is Queen Karula, the dominant female of Djuma's daughter, and her territory lies here in the east. Between here and Cheetah Plains is all Tundi, and then on Cheetah Plains, about halfway through Cheetah Plains, my favorite female leopard, Nkanyeni, holds domain, but she only has a tiny sliver of territory inside the Sabi Sands. Most of her territory is out in the Kruger Park. Now, this is probably the troop of baboons that nearly killed Karula's cubs, and they are the ones that go. There's a big male. Oh, he's gone up a tree. Oh. We're back. Is he still there? Yep. Say when? That's not a big male who's sitting there. The big male's run off behind. But as I said, those big male baboons, they can have canines longer than a lion's. You can actually just see the big male moving off to the left. There he is. Oh, stay on the one on the tree. Come to the right. I love baboons. He looks guilty, like they've just done something wrong or they're about to. Yeah, I see you. Have you been thieving sweets out of Cheetah? Yes, you look guilty. Yeah, run. Yeah, you're up to mischief. Oh, let's go back a bit. This looks like a young male. A little bit more brazen than the rest of the troop. Not that brazen though. Now you can see the rest of the troop. There's a big male coming through towards that termite mound, Dave. So he probably weighs, there's a little one climbing the termite mound. He probably weighs not far off what Karula does. And they're incredibly strong animals, as well as having those incredibly fearsome teeth. So leopards, especially leopards with cubs, tend to avoid them if they can. Now, in areas where human beings have removed most of a leopard's natural food, they will hunt baboons, but it is very risky business. Not always in areas where humans have removed all the food. I think there's another one top of termite mound again. Hello, little one. My dad actually saw some incredible behavior from a female leopard in the Nyanti area of Botswana, where she would run in, kill a young baboon, and then lie as flat on the ground as possible, almost like so the baboons couldn't grab her, get hold of her. And apparently they've seen her do it 7 or 8 times to run into the middle of a troop of baboons. Now those troops of baboons along the Nyanti Kondo system in Botswana, looking under the log for anything to eat, no, nothing there, are much bigger than what we get in the Sabi Sands. And I've seen troops there of well over 100. Here we go. Off they go, and we're going to keep doing the same. Hi, Robert. Robert, no, baboons did not kill Karula's cub. They came very close to killing Shongile yesterday. But Karula ran in charging the baboons and managed to keep them off. Oh, just hang on a sec. Oh no, it's Ngala. Okay, no, I was just listening to the radio. So, no, the baboons did not kill Karula's cubs. They came close to killing Karula's cubs, but they survived. So, let's just get that out of there. So, for those of you who missed the sunrise safari, I got a report from my friend about what happened. And Shongile chased after a young baboon and ran right into the middle of that troop, probably this very troop. And then they attacked her and she ran back towards her mother. And then Shongile went up a tree and Karula managed to see off the baboons. And where Hosana was during through all this, I'm not sure, but he was seen later. Yeah, we're about to disappear into a signal black hole. While we do that, let's go back to Steph, who's still with that hunting African Harrier hawk.
Well, since you left, he hasn't actually caught another frog. This African Harrier hawk has caught two. It was eating one when we arrived, it then caught one shortly thereafter, and has now been hunting about literally since you left us to now. Has inspected and gone around in a bit of a circle and looking fairly close to where it caught the last platana. And knowing platanas the way I do, they like to congregate, and I'm sure that there's a couple of platanas lying together. What is incredible is this bird is sitting in the blazing hot sun on a white hot, basically reflector. It doesn't look like it's losing any speed. New Wolf, you've just asked me if an estivating frog would run away. Unfortunately, no, I don't think so. They're covered in this slimy mucus. They also reduce the amount of beats per minute that their hearts do. And so they go into a type of hibernation. It's a type of slumber, a subconscious to an effect. I don't even think they know that they're being hunted. I'm not even sure if they know that they'll be caught. How quickly they can come out of these slumbers, I'm not that sure. I don't think it is quick. I think it's triggered by a couple of environmental factors. His face has gone that funny. There he goes, hunting again. Let's see. VM and I were having a discussion about whether we thought this bird was using his ears as well as his eyes to hunt. VM doesn't think that birds hear very well because they don't have large appendages on the outside of their head, and it's almost like an omnidirectional mic is what he said to me, meaning they don't have external appendages because they need to hear sound 360 degrees around their head. Look at him going again, like literally pelvis deep inside the cracks in that mud. Face bright yellow again. Jennifer, I also love watching the facial color change. You just said that you enjoy watching it because it's so fast. And it is actually quite fast. They can literally go from yellow to pink in a couple of seconds, or red color in a couple of seconds. Doesn't look like their legs change color. This is the first time I've actually had such a long view of an African Harrier hawk. I've never seen one doing this before. Hence my question as we left. Did this bird learn this from his parents, or is it a genetic thing? Do they just know how to do it? And I think I have the answer. I think that this is a learned behavior. African Harrier hawks are supremely gifted at utilizing little nooks and crannies. That's how they hunt, that's how they're programmed. And I think that this particular Harrier hawk has just learnt that in drying up pans, which is essentially just, you know, from where he is at the moment, it's essentially just a tree lying flat on the ground. And at some point, he must have been drinking some water, and a frog popped out of one of these things, one of these cracks. I don't think it's a genetic thing, apart from the fact that he's utilizing. There we go. He looked around over there. There was a fish eagle that was calling from high up in the sky above us somewhere, and you could see that he absolutely registered that particular call, turning his head from side to side. Looks like he's caught another one. Let's see when he's... No, still busy looking inside there. Something I have noticed about this bird, which I didn't know before either, was the fact that it has 3 toes pointing forward and 1 toe pointing back. Unlike parrots and woodpeckers. Now, parrots and woodpeckers have got 2 toes forward and 2 toes back. It's called a zygodactylous foot structure. Zygodactylous. And I would imagine that a bird such as this, that hunts for birds and lizards and snakes inside cracks in trees, and you see them trying to hang on in all these most bizarre positions, using their wings to keep balance. His face has gone a bright red again. It's almost like a sunburnt. It's like my head when it gets sunburned. You'd think that this bird that has this ability to clamber through trees and hunt the way that it does, that it would have 2 toes forward and 2 toes back, but it doesn't. Quite long toes. You can see how it's stepping quite gingerly. It has a foot almost the same size as a guinea fowl, really. Except for that very long hind claw, which is long hind toe, which is almost as long as its front 3 toes. That's incredible. I'm going to show you. I'm going to try and... Brock, I'm going to answer your question about the national bird of South Africa in a second. I just want to show you. We all saw that Harrier hawk looked up into the sky. Yes, that's going to be a challenge for you, but up there is what he looked at. Let me give you an idea. Let's see if we're going to get him. Can you see him, Vim? It's going to be a long shot, us trying to get you this. There we go. Off to the left. That black spot that flew through your windscreen or through your screen at the moment, that was a pixel big or so, was an eagle or a vulture that this Harrier hawk literally noticed like this, and from that far away, and discounted it. So looked at it and discounted it. That's how sensitive these birds are. Like, Vim, that was amazing that you even got that. Well done, man. I'm glad we got to see that across that screen. That was at full zoom, and that was in a cloudless blue sky, probably, I don't know, 400 meters up into the air, 400, 500 yards up into the sky. Amazing how alert these birds are. Still busy hunting around in the same patch. I actually wonder why he's not moving around to others. I think it's because the platanas are probably concentrated here at this deepest part of the pan. Paul, you just asked me if a fish eagle would attack this Harrier hawk. Absolutely, Paul. Birds are opportunists, supreme opportunists. And I think if he had a meal big enough and the fish eagle was close enough, it would absolutely try and steal it from him. And being the bigger bird, I think it would actually get it right. I also want to reply to Brock's question about the national bird of South Africa. Brock, the national bird of South Africa is a blue crane. That is the national bird of South Africa. You find them in the Western Cape and a little bit into the Eastern Cape. A fantastic, tall, regal, and very elegant bird. The blue crane, long tail streamers, quite a big bulbous head, and this powdery blue color. A lovely eagle. If you ever visit South Africa, quick hour or so drive out of town will get you your first blue crane sighting. Well, I must be honest with you, I don't think blue cranes are as ingenious at finding food as what this African Harrier hawk is. It's now been unsuccessful. It was quite successful when we got here. It was a frog he was eating. 5 minutes later he had another frog, but now almost 15 minutes later he hasn't caught another one. Intently peering into almost every crack that he can. Binocular vision, you'll notice when he picks his head up again that his eyes have a slight tilt toward the front, and that gives him a binocular field of vision. He'll still have a dead spot just in front of his beak where he won't have binocular vision or any vision at all in actual fact, but he will have binocular vision for quite a wide field around his face. That helps him obviously gauge depth and helps him doing what he's doing. But on that note, Brent has finally made it to Cheetah Plains. Well, not finally, I mean, he didn't take long to get there at all. And I'm sure he's dying to give you an update about what his plan is for his adventures in Cheetah Plains.
So we're nearly at the last position of the sticks. It doesn't sound like anyone's been there today, or this afternoon at least. So I'm hoping that they're going to be some fat, flatulent cats. And those very, very, very cute, but slightly manky Styx cubs. Now, of course, the complete opposite to the Nkuhuma lion cubs. Literally belong on every postcard ever printed about an African lion cub. Hi, Stefan in Pretoria. Stefan is wondering, are there currently any lion coalitions that can be compared to the Mapocho coalition? Now, the Mapocho coalition, of course, was a coalition, was it 5? Yes, 5 male lions, 6 originally. Oh, was that a white-headed vulture? Have a quick look, where are my binoculars? Now, that's the rarest of our vulture species. There's only about 12 breeding pairs. Sorry, Stefan. I'll get back to you shortly. No, that's just a hooded. I thought I saw some white in the wings, but now as it's flown a bit closer, it's too small. Which obviously means we're getting close to the lions. But Stefan was wondering if there are any coalitions that could compare to the Mapocho. Mapocho were a very famous coalition. I actually spent a lot of time with them when I first started working in the Sabi Sands. And well, you could say the Birminghams control a vast area. I mean, they extend down into Mala Mala, but also out into Kruger. And then, of course, there's the coalition that killed the Mapochos. The Majingalans are still around. Okay, so speaking of lions, where have they dragged that buffalo carcass to? Oh, there's the very smelly carcass. I'm seeing no very smelly lions. Oh no, I am. There's a very smelly lion in the road. Hello. Where are the rest of the very smelly lions? Now, maybe you can have a look at her belly. It's one of the Styx females. And you can see she's also got that mange on her stomach, but not nearly as prominent as with the cubs. Now, where are the rest of the lions? They might have headed off to 3 in a row pan for a drink, and left her to guard the remnants of this buffalo from the vultures that are all around. Let's actually go have a quick look up at the pan. It may be quite nice to catch them drinking. Of course, we do not want to disturb her ladyship, who's Ah, I see more lions now. Oof, nice smell ponging in from behind us. Okay, so there, speaking of male lion coalition, Stefan is one of the big boys from the north. Let me just sneak around. Hello, big boy. There we go. Look at that. A wild African male lion in his prime. Sleeping off a belly full of buffalo. Now, Deline, who's a new viewer, a very big welcome to you, Deline. And Deline would like to know, have we ever been in danger while on these drives? Well, not the current set of presenters. None of us have been in danger while on a live safari with all of you. Okay, so there's another lioness as well. Now, where are that gang of cubs? Okay, so there's the male. So in this pride, there are 3 females and 8 cubs. And currently I can only see 2 females. There's the one ladyship who's lying on the road. Dave has finally realized, suddenly seen that there's another lioness in front of us. There she is. I'm just going to go a bit further forward. Maybe the cubs are in the shade around here. Or they could be with the third lioness who might have gone towards 3 in a row pound to have a drink. I don't see any cubs around here, do you, Dave? This is one of the mothers of the cubs. Now, Don is wondering, how will the mange clear up or get better? Just with good time and some good meals, a good condition, maybe a bit of rain. But this type of mange doesn't really kill adult lions. It can sometimes kill cubs. But cubs don't, they don't look great, but they don't look like they're about to keel over. Okay. So let's go have a quick look at 3 in a row pound and see if that's where the cubs are. I'm keeping an eye for the birders out here. I'm keeping an eye for the white-headed vulture. There we go. There's a tree full of vultures. There was a tree full of vultures, some of them taking off, the white-backed vultures. There's a few still left. Oh, and a hooded vulture. The smaller one on the right-hand side. There you go, a hooded vulture. We've got 2 vulture species. Now there's only 1 vulture species left in the tree. Okay. Let's keep going towards the pan. Now, those cubs could easily be lying in the shade around here somewhere. Hi, Jane, who's in the south of England. Jane is wondering, what is the scariest encounter I've ever had with lions? I've had a few scary ones. Most of them have been on foot. I was tracking a lioness with cubs and I've been charged, and she stopped about 1.5 meters, 2 meters from me, and while she was hissing and growling at me, I got covered in dust and her spit. That's how close she was. That was quite a hairy one. And how old was I then? I must have been about 17. It was my first serious lion charge on my own. I've been charged a few times before, but either with my dad or with trackers. Look at that. Can you see the leaves up there, Dave? Yeah. That are caught in the thermal. So those vultures are using a thermal. There's actually, I can see, I might not be able to pick it up in the camera, but we can actually see a bunch of bush willow leaves in amongst the vultures. Just shining yellow, just sitting up on the winds. And then another scary lion encounter I had was with male lions in the Kruger. But I've told that story many times. But yes, I got properly charged by two male lions. Now the general rule with lions on foot. There we go. There's a whole bunch of cub tracks. Is that noisy lions, safe lions, quiet lions, scary lions, or dangerous lions. So if a lion's charging you and making a lot of noise, it's just telling you you're too close, you must go away. If they come in quietly, you might be on the menu. And those two male lions came very quietly. Okay, so all the cub tracks heading up here. Oh, a big Safari Live welcome to Chris. Oh, sorry, Chris. Thank you. Chris is a brand new viewer. Sorry about that, Chris. And Chris is wondering how often the lions need to eat. Sorry, Chris, I'm just checking where those cubs could have gone. Well, Chris, generally they'll eat every 3 or 4 days. On average, an adult male lion needs about 15 pounds of meat a day spread over the month, and a lioness a little bit less than that. But that is certainly not a lion cub. Tracks went off somewhere. I'll go back and have a look, but there is something that should try avoid lions at all costs. Well, it looks like there have been some elephants here recently as well. Lots of splashes in the mud. There we go. And a creature that should avoid lions. Lions will hunt giraffe. There you go, a female giraffe. Excuse me, guys. Before I sneeze again. Now, giraffe are really good at spotting predators with that long neck of hers. She looks like she's just finished her drink. But those lions are going to be quite lazy at the moment. It's hot. They've got bellies full of buffalo. I'm just looking very carefully. There's not much shade available around here, and that's where a lion's going to be at the moment, in the shade. I was hoping the giraffe might help us spot the lions, but it doesn't look like she's seen them, so I think they might be a little bit further back. I didn't see any tracks here. Let's have another look. No lion cub tracks here. Oh, what happened there, madam? You didn't see that little branch? Okay, well, let's go back and have a look, see if those lion cubs are around. Let's go Have a look. No tracks over here. Hi, a tube would like to know, when does the rainy season begin? Well, it should start at the end of October, beginning of November, though I don't think we're going to have much of a rainy season. I think the strike's going to extend. There's a lot of disagreement and banter around when it's going to rain, if it's going to rain at the moment, whether La Nina's playing or El Nino is going to play a part again. My guess for first major rain of the year, which is over 20 mils, I said the 10th of November. I think most other people's bets are sitting in October. Dave, when do you think it's going to rain? September 18th. Dave has been eating some hallucinogenic plants that are found out here in the African bush. Dave, lay off those plants. Okay, so the last cub truck I saw was somewhere around here. So it seems cam ops think it's going to be early. Dave the 18th of September, Brian the 20th of September. Well, it's a good thing that they just operate the cameras. Hey Dave. Okay, I just want to have a look on this path here. Okay, so there are lots of little lion cub tracks here. Now where did they go from here? So we can see them there on the road, on that big elephant path. Now it looks like there were elephants here, so the elephants could have chased them, which means they could be scattered about. Might have been making their way back towards where the two females and the male were, so let's head back there. Hi, Joanne in Indiana, and Joanne would like to know whether lionesses would protect cubs from new males coming in. They would try. They would definitely try. Most of the time, not very successfully, and often in the defense of cubs, they can get killed by the new males. And we saw that the Nkuhuma lost 3 lionesses like that when the Birmingham boys came in. Maybe those cubs have snuck back around there towards where the other lions are. Mark says, will a male lion spend more time with a certain pride, or will they rotate around? They do rotate around, and generally there's more focus on the pride that has got females coming into estrus. So that's why there's 2 males with the Nkuhumas at the moment, and another male with the Torchwood pride, and I don't know if any of those females are about to come into estrus. Okay, so let's see, maybe the cubs are just lying up here somewhere. The kill's just down there. I'm seeing a freshly used track here. Go and have a look. This is the elephant path the cubs might have come back in on. No, alas. Where could those cubbies have gone? I'm pretty sure they're around here somewhere. We also can't see a single lioness. But we're going to go have a quick look again at the males, and then we're going to make space for the other guys to come in so they can also enjoy the sighting. Let's needle our way through the gap. What do you think, Dave? Watch out for the thorn tree. Oops, I think we've got ourselves in a jam. We have got ourselves into a little spot here. Just hang on. Mike. Mike. Ah, that's why it helps when you call on the right channel, doesn't it? Mike. Mike, whereabouts were the one side with Mampimpan? Oh! Ow! Thorn. Sorry about this. We seem to be stuck in a little hole here. Copy, thanks. I've just checked through in a row. There's nothing there. There's cubs. There's tracks of the cubs going south, but then they've all been obliterated by ellies. So I think I'll go have a quick look on Central. Okay. So it looks like, unfortunately, there's already quite a few people lining up for that male. Try back there. Let's go see if we can find the cubs. It sounds like they were on the other side of the 3 in a row pan earlier today when Mike, the ranger from... Oh, there's another lioness. But are they cubs? Where did you pop up from? How did we miss her earlier? We must have driven straight past her. So, there we go. She might be off to go find the cubs. They might have been split by elephants. Mike, I've got a single one side to here heading south. Okay, well, let's stick with her. Maybe she'll lead us to the babies. Look how big her belly is. I've got a one side heading south through the block here. So while we stick with this lioness, she moves through the bush. While we do that, let's go see what Steph's up to.
Hello and welcome back. Yeah, we've been a bit busy here at Buffelshoek Dam. I must be honest with you, nothing much has come since that African Harrier hawk decided that he'd finished fishing. What he did was he took his last frog. As we left you, he caught another platana, took it to a tree and ate it in a tree instead of eating it on the mud. And what we were watching was how a Birchall starling was busy dive bombing, it's called mobbing, this poor African Harrier hawk while he was finishing off his mid-afternoon snack. Now it's time to move on again, I think. It's a blisteringly hot afternoon. I must be honest with you, being out in the sun it's a challenge at the moment. It's just the harbinger of things to come, I think. October is just around the corner and Hell Month is exactly on the way. Alright, so what we're going to do is stick to the shadier areas of this particular reserve because of that. And we're going to be making our way back through to the Djuma or the Vuyatela and the Gallagher watering holes, where there were some lions this morning. And as far as I can tell from the dam camera, there are some elephant right now and a couple of buffalo as well. So all the action is at the water, and so that is where we must go. From what Kirsty tells me though, the Ellies have been there for some time though, and they are moving off from the dam. But it's okay, that's what we've got a steering wheel and some drive to our wheels for. And we'll just, if they haven't gone into some deep dark hole somewhere, we'll be able to pull them out of the bush, hopefully. That's the plan anyway. In a pretty bizarre afternoon. We went for a run, myself and David, just to keep up the fitness. You know, sitting in these cars, the only thing that gets an exercise is your clutch foot rather than anything else. We went for a bit of a run, found Tingana's tracks on Rebecca's road, although from what Brent tells me, he tracked Tingana this morning and they found him, tracks of him, all the way out onto the other side of Elephant Plains. Can you imagine? So from 12 o'clock last night, which is when Kirsty and I were woken up by the bushbuck making a big noise and running past our bedrooms, to this morning, probably 7, 8 o'clock, he walked all the way to Elephant Plains from here. It's just, why? Is my question. Why would a male leopard do that? And the obvious answer is because he needs to defend territories and he needs to defend boundaries. But it just makes no sense. It's just weird that a leopard would walk so far and crisscross so much of his territory. Literally, he walked from one side of his territory to another in an evening. Didn't stop to hunt. I have to ask myself why. Roaring close to his boundary. Alright, sorry about that little black screen. It's one of those signal holes that we went through. There's only a peppering of them around the reserve, but still, we go through them every now and again. That maybe you heard the Anderson male busy roaring right down on his territory and needed to go and re-establish that particular boundary. Male leopard territories are like amoebas. They live adjacent to one another, but their boundaries are constantly shifting, growing out one way and getting fought back, and growing out another way and getting fought back, and shifting the whole time. You might just find that Tingana, being such a dominant male in this area, likes to push his territories by creating a presence, even if it means he has to walk from one side to another, to another, to another, every single day. Just makes me think that sort of tracking anything that is remotely like an old track is just going to be a waste of time with him. Unless you find tracks that are smoking hot, as they call them, it would just be a useless exercise. So Bill from the nursing home, boys, you've just asked me, why do I think leopard and jaguar are so similar? If you believe in continental drift, or the continental drift theory, it states that Africa and South America and Africa were joined. And it takes a little bit of imagination this, but if you look at the west coast of South Africa and the east coast of South America, and you bring them together, you'll see that they actually fit plus minus. So the theory is that the proto-ancestor of leopard and jaguar used to live across both, and as the continents split away from each other about 180 million years ago, they took with jaguar to the one side and they took with leopard to the other side, and both were left to evolve in the changing climates. Obviously, with South America going where it went, different ocean currents was affecting the weather, and that would affect rainfall, and that would affect vegetation aspect, height above sea level. All of that changes the environment. And leopard, these particular cats are highly adaptable. You find that the two became two distinct species because of the environmental factors playing in the bush or in the environments over the last 180 million years. We're on Central Road. This is the road with the highest table-like mitre drains I've ever seen. But anyway, Brent has refound that lioness, or he's just gotten into an area that he can share her with you, and so you off to Brent and a lion.
Oh, sorry guys, I was just listening to the Game Drive channel. It was quite loud. Copy, thanks Mike. I'm going to keep with her, and if you want to join me. So we're following this lioness. We think she's going back to the other lioness where the cubs are. So that's what we're hoping. Now, being a lion, and lions can be quite lazy, what she might do is just flop down in the bush somewhere on the way. But she was going through some very thick bush, so we shot around, and she's now popping out on the road again. I mean, you can literally, when we get a bit closer, you see the size of her belly. And you can see the size of that belly. It's literally swaying from side to side. Well, she's not looking 100% relaxed. What I think has happened is that they've been chased by ellies, and that's why she could be a bit jumpy. I think she's going to lie down in the shade there. Yep. It's not always the best when you're right, because that means she's not going to lead us to the cubs. So, and as I said, she's looking quite hot, and she's not looking very relaxed. And I think she's been chased by elephants. That's why she's being a bit jumpy. So I'm not going to push her at all. I'm just going to keep moving on past her. We'll give you one last look. Just find a gap. Not really. There we go. So we're going to leave her, but I'm quite sure the rest of the cubs and the other lioness are around. As I said, she's not looking. Oh, look at the little emerald spotted wood dove. Too relaxed, but there we go. A very pretty little dove. Then wait until it goes into the sun, and you should see those emerald spots glimmer. Shavambalan is the Shangaan name for an emerald spotted wood dove, which of course causes me great confusion when I look at that male leopard who's dominant down here, because he is also called Shavambalan. Okay, I'm just going to call in that I'm leaving this line, so if anyone else wants to come have a look. Leaving Mike with the single one, Satyangala on Central Road, just to the east of Junction, Djuma Dam. I'm going to keep heading a bit further to the east, keep looking for the other one, Sat and the Mampimbans. Okay, apparently she's contact calling. Let's listen. So she did one little contact call. I'm trying to wait to see if there's any contact calls in response. Now we know how loud lion cubs can be. Not hearing anything in response. I'm going to keep checking. Mike said when he was doing bush clearing earlier today, on a termite mound around here, that's where the rest of the pride was with the cubs. So just going to have a quick look a little bit further to the east. So while we do that, let's go back to Steph, see how he's doing back up in the north.
We are doing okay, thank you very much, Brent. We are looking for those elephant that were at the Vuyatela Pan just a moment ago. We've just arrived, literally just arrived. And I don't see any of their footprints heading off back down the river. But there are some buffalo. Excuse me, I'm just busy switching off my radio. Every time I look down and I switch this off, it's because as you come to me, I forget to switch it down, and then I have many voices in my head, something that, although I should be comfortable with, I am not. Let's go and see this waterbuck. She's going to come and drink. Hopefully she's going to come and drink now from the pan. I think it'd be quite nice. We've got some nyala drinking at the pan as well. Let's spend some time together at the pan and see what comes down to drink. Vim, where would you like me to park your camera? I see that the elephants have made a big mess of the dam. You can actually see where they've created a leak. So what they've done is they've actually, well, we just, hold on 2 seconds, we're just trying to level the camera. There you go, you can actually see the leak there. The dam is leaking. So Mr. Jim Reeves, the handyman for Djuma, the guy in charge of keeping everything going and all the wheels turning, he's going to have some work to do here, shame. And here we have some nyala. Pretty skittish because there's a waterbuck just on the other side of them that's giving them, I think, a little bit of the skittishness. I don't quite know what it is because the waterbuck's head is quite low. You can see its ears just poking up over the top. And I don't think the nyala actually know exactly what it is. You can see they're very wary of this unknown face. 2 young bulls and then a female. And they have to be some of the most striking of all the antelope that we have here. Ah. Got the waterhole cam looking at us, so just watching us do our jobs. I wonder if they're actually going to come down and drink. Be interesting to see if they can get over their instinctual fear for something strange. See if their thirst overcomes their fear. A female, she's not having any of it, she's walked off. Young male also walking off. You can actually see his hair, his crest of hair along his back is actually come erect with his anxiety, similar to that youngster. Not quite as bad as the young one. So on this stump, on this dead stump, there has to be about 3 or 4 luries. Oh, first let's just have a look at this waterbuck. Oh, don't worry. There we go. Let's get in there. Have a look at this. It's a head on top of a body of mud. In actual fact, there's a body behind there. I want to see if this waterbuck's going to have the courage to come up here and drink. looks like she wants to come. She's taken another 2 steps. Bush Mum, you've just asked me if there's reedbuck in the area. There was one actually seen the other day. Just one. I think it was seen on Cheetah Plains or Arathusa, I think. But yes, to answer your question in a nutshell, this is a grey lurry or grey go-away bird and a friend come to drink. Have a careful look here. I want to see if my theory is proven correct, that birds need to drink and then lift up their heads. There we go. Lift up their head and drink. That's how I know birds to drink. But the other day we were watching doves drink upside down, literally at Buffelshoek Dam. And I'm not actually sure that they drink the same way. Birds fill their throats, then lift their heads. You can see that. Very typical of a bird drinking. These very comical, crested birds, the grey lurry, I quite enjoy them. Never ever a dull moment in a lurry's life. Grey lurries are like dwarf mongoose, probably about the same size as well, to be quite honest. Yes, well done, VM. That is the mark of a professional, being able to follow a bird in flight just like that. This moving head is now coming closer to the water. There's now a moving head and neck. Hopefully she comes and drinks. They're actually very pretty. While male waterbuck tend to be quite big and bulky, sort of like, I don't know, you get these men with lots of muscles. That's what a waterbuck reminds me of, a bodybuilder. Whereas the females are actually a lot more elegant. You wouldn't say that from her beard that she carries. Although with waterbuck, I don't really mind beards. I think they look quite good on waterbucks. That heart-shaped nose, very characteristic of the waterbuck. And all that fur. She's being very careful. I think she wants to go and see if she can drink from the leak rather than actually come to the pan. And that's just an instinctual fear of deep water. In Africa, deep water harbors crocodiles. And that is exactly why she doesn't want to come to this pan. They will if they must, but very warily. In Africa, if you are not scared of crocodiles, you do not live long. Very, very cautiously coming up here. I've actually dropped the level of my voice in sort of trying to help her overcome her fear here. Looking around. I wouldn't be surprised if she can smell lion around here as well. Lions have been in and around these 2 pans now for almost a week. And she must be able to smell all their footprints and be looking around. No, thirst got wariness got the better of her. James Richard, you just asked me if I could keep an eye out for a firefinch for you. Absolutely, I'll absolutely keep an eye out for a firefinch for you. That's no problem at all. The best places to look are bird parties. They're a tiny little bird about this big. Actually show everyone else what a firefinch looks like. I quite enjoy the smaller birds. They're quite often a lot more colourful than what everything else is around here. Let me see, firefinch 332. So here are the firefinches, all these birds over here. And the firefinches that we find in this area are the red-billed firefinch, the African firefinch, and the Jamison's firefinch, this one here. Interesting bird, hey? Even more interesting are these birds, the twin spots, which are like firefinches except they've got black and white speckled bellies. Nice, eh? I quite enjoy those. So I'll absolutely keep a lookout for you, James. No problem at all. Now, we did a stakeout at this pan a couple of days ago, and it was just quite amazing at the variety of life that was coming in here. The bird life was just astounding. We had green pigeon and brown-headed parrot come and visit. There were buffalo in the area, and that came down to drink. We had some nyala and a hippo, and then eventually some lion, all in about an hour and a bit. Oh, and not missing the sandgrass, the double-banded sandgrass that we saw as well, which I was hoping to show Brian. He had never seen one before, and all of you, of course. Not much going on here now, barring a little terrapin's head that I can see. Now, what I am quite intrigued about is the fact that in this riverbed, up the riverbed, where the waterbug is now walking, and there is a buffalo or two inside there, the lions that we were with this morning are lying somewhere inside there. And it's interesting for me to see it. I think the lions are still there. They must still be there. And yet the draw of a more secluded pan is just too irresistible. Mauricio, you've just commented on the fact that it's amazing how they're nervous of a crocodile, even though they may never have encountered one. You're absolutely 100% right there, Mauricio. And I think it's just because crocodiles have been around for so long, literally before mammals were even what they are today. I think that every mammal is just pre-programmed with this instinctual fear of a crocodile. And it's a common thing to find in Africa, being scared of the water. And it's all to do with crocodiles. Every single fear is well-founded and warranted. And it's because of these crocodiles that kill and eat people. And to this day, not so much in South Africa. It does happen from time to time. It's much more common in places like Botswana and Zambia, where people get eaten by crocodiles every single day still.
Australia's quite bad.
And Australia, VM says, people also get eaten by Australia. What was it? People get eaten by Australians, I should say. Crocodiles eat their people. There's that buffalo up that creek bed. And those lions are no more than 150 yards from that buffalo now, if they're even still there. It's lovely, this scene, actually. You know, those dry river beds and these grassless plains. Impala picking at the tiniest bits and pieces of leaves. There's another buffalo just coming in from the left-hand side of your screen as well. You can just see his head there. And bully boys. Not much. I think because of the heat today that we're going to see the birds coming in to eat probably, or coming in to drink, not even to eat, coming in to drink a little bit later than they did 2 or 3 days ago. I would imagine it's because it's so hot at the moment. They don't want to get going. It's dead quiet where we are now. Funnily enough, I've just heard a barred owl calling and not much else. Red Dog, you've just asked me what the rarest bird I've seen at Djuma is. Let me actually think about that, Red Dog. That's a hard question to answer, to be quite honest with you. The rarest bird that I've seen at Djuma is probably a secretary bird. That would be the rarest bird I've seen at Djuma. The rarest bird that I've seen in the Sabi Sands is an African finfoot, And the rarest bird that I've seen in the Kruger National Park is a pink-backed pelican. Yes, you heard me correctly. I said pelican, a pink-backed pelican. And while a pretty common bird near the sea and at lakes in Africa, it's absolutely not a common bird in the Kruger National Park whatsoever. So there we go. I think that's exactly it. Secretary bird here at Djuma, African finfoot in the Sabi Sands, and then a pink-backed pelican in the Kruger National Park. Even though the most endangered bird that we'd be having a look at in the Kruger National Park is a southern ground hornbill. Southern ground hornbills, there's only about 1,500 pairs left, I think, in the whole world. And we see them quite frequently here at Djuma, so that would be the most endangered bird that I've seen here. What else have we got endangered here, VM?
Birds wise.
Yes. I'm puzzling VM over there. So there we go. Blacksmith lapwing has just stuck its head up over the edge of the pan.
What about the vultures?
Ah, yes. We've got all the vultures. White-backed vulture. You're quite correct there, VM. Endangered species. The white-backed vulture, which we see every now and again on a kill here. The lappet-faced vulture, white-headed vulture. All vultures that are racing towards extinction. The reason being is they're used in traditional medicine, and the trade in traditional medicine just seems to have boomed over the last couple of years. Actually, it's been booming for the last 15 or 20 years. It's not just the last couple of years. And it's having a marked effect. So southern ground hornbill and one of the vultures are probably the most endangered birds that we see. I hope that answered your question there. Look at that bush. Dry, dead twigs,